Detective Jack Crawford had seen his fair share of crime scenes, but this one was particularly brutal. The victim was a wealthy businessman named Richard Mason, found dead in his lavish mansion on the outskirts of town. It was clear from the start that this was no ordinary murder. The scene was staged with eerie precision, as if the killer had been carefully planning the attack for weeks. Crawford and his team of detectives worked tirelessly to piece together the evidence. They interviewed witnesses, sifted through Mason's financial records, and even brought in a psychic to try to get a sense of the killer's motives. But despite their best efforts, the case remained a mystery. As the weeks turned into months, Crawford became increasingly frustrated. He was determined to catch the killer and bring them to justice, but it seemed like every lead they pursued turned up empty. Just when he was about to give up hope, Crawford received an anonymous tip that led him to a rundown warehouse on the outskirts of town. When Crawford and his team arrived at the warehouse, they found something they never expected: a room filled with surveillance equipment and a live feed of Mason's mansion. It became clear that the killer had been watching Mason's every move for months, waiting for the right moment to strike. But the biggest shock was yet to come. As they examined the equipment, Crawford noticed a series of code words and symbols that seemed to be a language of their own. He quickly brought in a cryptographer to decode the messages, and what they discovered was chilling. The messages revealed that the killer was part of a secret society, one that had been operating for centuries. They believed that their actions were necessary to maintain order in society, and they had been responsible for a number of high-profile murders over the years. But what shocked Crawford the most was the realization that one of his own colleagues was a member of the society. As the investigation continued, Crawford and his team raced against the clock to uncover the true identity of the killer and bring them to justice. But just when they thought they had the case solved, they were thrown for a loop. The killer turned out to be none other than Richard Mason himself. Mason had been part of the society for years, and he had orchestrated his own murder in order to cover up his involvement in a series of illegal activities. He had been using his wealth and influence to manipulate the society for years, and he had grown increasingly paranoid that his secrets would be exposed. So he had hatched a plan to stage his own murder and frame someone else for the crime. Crawford was stunned. He had never seen anything like this before. But as he thought back over the case, he realized that the signs had been there all along: the eerie precision of the crime scene, the lack of evidence, and the strange symbols that had led them to the warehouse. In the end, justice was served. Mason's crimes were exposed, and the members of the secret society were brought to justice. But Crawford couldn't shake the feeling that there were still secrets lurking in the shadows, waiting to be uncovered.